And just before we get started, I need to read this disclaimer exactly as written. It's standard for any presentation coming from FERC staff. After that, Pam and I will move into more conversational discussion about our work and experiences. So the views expressed herein are our own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, individual commissioners, or other commission or OPP staff members. Nothing herein should be viewed as a prediction of how the commission will act on any matter, nor will this presentation address any pending matter. Thank you. All right. Again, thanks for sitting here with us today. My name is Vince Gaudillo, and I'm an outreach specialist with the Office of Public Participation at FERC. Before joining FERC, I spent 20 years in the U.S. Coast Guard, most of that time as a marine safety officer, regulating offshore oil and gas, and working in and with coastal communities along the Gulf. At FERC, I focused on constituent engagement and helping the public navigate our infrastructure review process. I bring both regulatory and outreach experience to how we approach participation and transparency within energy projects.
And I am Pamela Young. I am happy to be with you this afternoon. And I come to you, I've been with FERC for the past 3 years. And prior to coming to FERC, I was a facility manager with other federal agencies. I also have 6 years experience in the Air Force Reserve and logistics, cargo logistics, as well as over 20 years environmental compliance, inspection and management, working here in the state of Mississippi. And so I'm happy to be here with you this afternoon. So what does FERC regulate? FERC regulates wholesale energy markets and rates, interstate electric transmission, interstate natural gas pipelines, liquefied natural gas export and import terminals, oil pipeline rates, the rates only, and also hydroelectric projects. The Office of Public Participation, our office was enabled by statute, Section 319 of the Federal Power Act, and we are developed to coordinate assistance to the public with respect to the activities exercised by the Commission. We're here to engage with the public through direct outreach and education through our materials. We're also a public liaison for procedural information to the public, and we coordinate with other FERC offices to help in the responsiveness to the public should there be additional questions. Our office was fully funded. Now, we were stood up by statute, but we were fully funded in 2021. And we're under the director of, our director, Nicole Sidaraman, and our deputy director, who's Joseph Rosenthal. And our office consists of an energy markets, energy infrastructure team, energy markets team, as well as technical assistance division, education and logistics advisor, and our administrative and operations division.
All right, so one of the key things to understand about OPP, or the Office of Public Participation, is that our staff are non-decisional. That means we don't take a position on projects, we don't make recommendations to commissioners or reviewing staff, and we have no role in determining the outcome of any proceeding at FERC. And that separation is intentional. It allows OPP to focus entirely on public access and understanding. The commission deals with complicated, highly technical matters that can be hard for the typical person or small organization to navigate. And OPP was created to help close that gap, to make sure that the public has the tools, information, and confidence to take part in that process. Our team engages in a wide range of people, and we can walk through them, how to locate a docket, how to read environmental documents, or how to submit a comment effectively, and how to put their input, how their input becomes part of the record. Because we're non-decisional, we can meet directly with the public even during active and contested proceedings, all right? But we are still bound by ex parte rules, and I want to make this kind of clear here. That means while we can talk openly with the public, we can't discuss the merits of a specific project with FERC staff or the commissioners. That firewall is crucial, and I think this is a good part about our office. It protects the transparency of our work and the integrity of the commission's decision-making process. And in practice, that balance lets us play a unique role where we're here to clarify, to guide, and to listen, never to persuade. And our goal is to make sure that people understand how to engage and find credible information. And then this slide that Pamela has up, really, this gets to the heart of what OPP tries to do. We focus on helping communities and individuals speak for themselves in FERC processes. It's not about telling people what to say. It's about giving them the right information and tools so their voices can come through clearly and effectively. And we do that by developing plain language materials, handouts. Pam is going to get into that later. And we also spend a lot of time improving on how information shows up online. As the previous speaker just spoke, everything's online right now, most things. And so we really want to help people without already needing to be experts in the field. And then again, a lot of our outreach happens in smaller settings to explain the process, answer questions, and hear feedback. Sometimes that's virtual sessions like we're doing right now, and sometimes it's in in-person events. And we try to meet people where they are, whether it's that seeing someone seeing a notice for the first time, or a local official trying to help constituents understand what's happening in their area. Our goal is to reduce friction and to make participation less intimidating and more practical so the public can engage on their terms. And this slide gives a quick look at the opportunities for public ways to participate in the process. So we think of it as a kind of a continuum. There are ways to engage early, and then there are more formal steps as the projects move forward. First chance, and when we're talking about like natural gas, is the pre-filing process. Before a company even submits an application, developers are going to start outreach, and FERC begins its early environmental review. So public input at this stage can really help what gets examined. Then, of course, there are public comment periods and scoping meetings. I was just at one last week at an open house where people can share local knowledge, concerns, and perspectives directly with FERC staff. And then after an application is filed, there are ways to file motions to intervene, to become formal parties. And then there's a much more complex rehearing process if there's a disagreement with the commission order. But we also recognize, and this is kind of critical, that the engagement does not end when a project is approved. And our office right now is currently developing better ways to stay in touch with constituents during construction and post-construction to share updates, hear feedback, and make sure communities still have open lines of communication with FERC as projects move into operation. Our goal is to make participation meaningful throughout the project's life cycle, not just before the decision is made.
As shared, Vince talked briefly on the educational videos that we have. This is just a sampling of some of the many videos and workshops that we developed to assist the public in knowing how to participate, what steps they can take, and where to find that information. Oftentimes you may have a question now, but that question gets answered, then another one develops. And so these are some resources, and all of these workshops and videos can be found at FERC's, at OPP's YouTube website. Here are also some handouts and explainers on e-library, as well as information about some rulemaking, as well as how to comment, some suggestions on effective comments. So we have handouts that we can share to the public email, as well as when we go out to our various meetings, we do share this information. Again, we are on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on X, commonly known as Twitter. We're on Instagram and YouTube. And I also want to say that a question is a comment. You have a question and you're trying to find those answers. And sometimes when you ask us, being an OPP, we may not have all that information or have the specific information or answer that you are looking for. And so those are some things that you can consider as comments for the docket.
Okay, so this next slide is something that we want to spend a little bit of time on here. How to make your comments truly effective. I think the previous speaker was sort of getting at this, and we definitely want to add our own flavor as well. First and foremost, every comment matters, right? Whether you're for a project or against it, or just have information to share, FERC decision-making depends on a complete record, and a thoughtful public input adds real-world perspective that data alone cannot capture. And we always tell people to start with, like these slides say here, start with the bottom line up front. Say right away what you're commenting on and what you want FERC to understand. And honestly, and I just told this to people the other day, it's perfectly okay to say you support the project or you oppose the project. That is fine. That is fine. The end. That could be the end of your comment. However, here's a little caveat though. We encourage folks to go a little deeper. Tell us why you feel that way. Not us. Tell the record why you feel that way. What you've seen, what you've experienced, or what you know from the community that helps put that statement into context. Those kinds of details help analysts, engineers, and the environmental staff connect your perspective to the record. The next key step is to support your points. That doesn't mean you need a specific, you need to be a consultant or a technician. Just a couple of pictures, photos, a map, a specific example of what might be happening in your neighborhood and what's happening on the ground. That can make a huge difference. If you observe something during construction or you have information about the environment, cultural resources, or local infrastructure, that kind of information carries a lot of value when staff review the analysis. Like it's critical to include that in there. Local subject matter experts, more often than not, know more than some of the applicants do. And we're often kind of surprised when they know, they'll let the staff know that there's a landmark or a well that that maybe that the applicant didn't know about. They want to know that information. Also, it's important to stay within FERC scope. That means focusing on the areas that FERC regulates, things like siting, construction. Staying in scope helps ensure your comment goes straight to the people who can act on it. And Pamela's going to get to this later. If you're unsure about FERC scope, give us a call. We'll walk you through that. FERC actually has a really cool feature on its website. You can look it up. It says what FERC does and what FERC doesn't do. And I found that helpful even in my own work here at the commission. Now, one thing this office does, and this is really important, is it's help people navigate the process. I need to make this distinction here. We can walk you through how to submit a comment and how to find the right docket number and how to use e-comment or e-filing and what to expect when your comment is on the record. However, we cannot help you draft the comment or tell you what to write. We can help you understand what makes the comment effective, and Pamela previously showed you literature, and we can certainly direct you towards that. And we can help you make sure it's filed correctly on time, but our office does not provide that service of helping draft comments. And then lastly, remember, effective comments aren't just about length, they're about clarity, right? When you're doing your input highlight, whether your input highlights benefits like jobs and reliability or raises concerns about noise and wetlands, the key is to be clear, factual, and direct. Oh, I think I have the next one, excuse me. All right, and then before we move on, just to highlight a few ways the public can engage in the process. First way is to learn more. How you do that, you can get online, look at our project webpage. OPP is incredibly proud of our project websites. They're often the first hit when you look up a major project around the country. Each major project, I should qualify that, has its dedicated page with everything in one place: filings, references to environmental documents, schedules, links to participate. And it's designed to be more accessible than e-library. However, we will link you to things in the e-library if you want to brave that. We really want you to think of it as kind of a project Wikipedia, and we're proud of it, and we encourage you to go check that out. You can also stay informed by getting e-subscription alerts through individual projects. Again, Pamela plugged following FERC on social media, and then joining our mailing list. We're really about kind of old school spreading of information, telling people in their different sectors to hand out information and just kind of do it through local resources, the library, the community centers, things like that. All right, that's it.
Again, the FERC tools, and we can highlight this enough about e-library. This is the online platform that houses applicants' application that are before FERC, as well as if you submit a comment, it will be located in e-library, and you can see your comment as well as other comments from other constituents who may submit information. Also, e-register. E-register is a way that you create an account through FERC's online tools to engage with FERC. Through e-register, you can e-subscribe, which is a way to subscribe to a particular docket. That way, anytime someone submits information to a docket, you would get an email notification of what's been submitted, and you can go to that particular docket to take a look and see what was on file or what is on file. E-filing is a way that you can submit a comment, a protest, or intervene, or ask for rehearing. You can submit that through e-filing. E-comment is also a way that you can submit a comment. The difference in the two, e-filing allows you to attach, say, Word documents or PDFs or maps or larger files. E-comment has a limit, and you type into the system itself whatever your comment may be. So it's more of the sizing that differs. And if you have questions or need support in using these tools, there is online support. There's an email address as well as a phone number that you can call to get assistance. Lastly, after all this information that we've shared with you, that you've seen, you've gone online and read our handouts, and you've seen tutorials, and you've gone through the workshops, and you still have additional questions. Well, we want you to know that there is still an avenue to get additional help. Through that help can come through emailing OPP as well as calling the phone number that is on your screen. That directs you to our inquiry line. And through that inquiry line, you may ask, well, I read this, I still have some questions. Then one of the OPP staff will reach out to you directly to hear your concern, hear your question, to help answer whatever that may be, and help walk you through whatever, if it's finding a docket number, or I'm having trouble seeing this, do you see it? Or even sometimes a lot of the question often are, I have a map, but it's not detailed enough. Can you help me get a better detailed map if it's available? So those are just some of the questions that we have helped folks with. And one of the biggest things that we also ask folks, as you're taking this training, share it with other folks, share it with those you come in contact with, say that want to know more, but they're not sure. Please share our information to whomever at your network of influence, because we're here to help everyone take part in the FERC processes. So now we'll just open the floor up if there's some questions, or Virginia, I'm not certain what your next steps were.
Thank you so much. Yes. I just have two questions. I'll read them for you and you can answer them now, or we can follow up later. The first is, does FERC attend town halls to help people understand what they are not knowledgeable about? And second, are there any resources to support community groups that want to intervene but may not have the capacity or resources to intervene as a formal party? So I'm curious if either of those questions are ones you can address, or if we'll follow up later.
I can address those. It depends on what you mean by town hall. Folks call town halls to include many different meetings. Some town halls can deal with, so I would need more information on what is meant by town hall. And your last question was resources about intervening. We do have handouts as well as workshops online that folks can view at their convenience that can help in intervening.
And real quick, to the first question, Virginia, we might not always be able to physically attend meetings, but we're certainly open to facilitating conversations with all groups of people. But as Pamela said, we definitely need to know kind of, you know, the scope of the conversation, things like that. But we attend public meetings, typically related to projects. That's kind of that's usually our scope. But we will definitely entertain talking to just about anybody about energy infrastructure and how they can participate in OPP, or excuse me, in FERC processes.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm just going to use my camera to show you the room since you've just been presenting in a vacuum, but here we all are. Hello. So thank you so much for your presentation. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And should there be additional questions, Virginia, please just let us know.